Welcome to How We Grow, an essential playbook to grow and scale your vacation rental business with advice and insights from the best in the biz, with your host, Lynell Gordon. Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show, How We Grow. I have a special guest today with us. Stacy Wesson has been in the industry for 40 years. It's a family business. She's taken over from her parents as the general manager. And if there's anything you want to know about vacation rentals, I'm sure she has great advice because she's been through it all. Stacy, thank you for being a part of the Vacation Rental Show today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
So you've had very strong opinions on education, and you have good ideas on education in the industry for property managers. Tell me what happened to make you really stand up and say, hey, I think there should be change, because I've heard there's some things that you'd like to see changed.
Yeah, I think from the conference level, we went to one of the conferences years ago and stopped going because it was like the same people, same classes. And I'm not saying you can't learn anything new, even talking about similar subjects. It's just like, yeah, I've heard this. I'm already doing this. Like, I always hated the ones like 10 new ways to make money in your business. I'm like, yeah, I'm already doing all that. So I just felt like it was very stagnant. So then we switched over to another company or another people that were having conferences a little bit better. But then talking to Matt Landau and just like, I've been to some outside industry and you feel loved upon. Everything's included. You get free gifts. And again, that's for a certain product. So if I was going to a software conference, or you're buying their products, so they want to love on you. The people that are putting on these conferences, they're a third party. There is no product they're selling you. They're bringing together the client and the providers, all your software providers, all your vendors, all of that. So they're just overseeing it. But in overseeing it, I feel like we need more deeper stuff. I think we're more now wanting deep. Let's sit in a room and knock some stuff out with some of these managers versus going to a class on the top 10 things to make your listing look better. I think a lot of those could be webinars. Usually tickets are like $1,000 plus airfare plus hotel. It's a lot of expense to go to an event and feel like the food sucks. People aren't here because the timing's wrong. You don't have the right speakers in place. It's the same old speakers, especially for new people coming in the industry. I know a lot of people, so I feel good now. But if you're new in the industry and it's like at night, there's always like these exclusive, oh, well, this company's putting this on, but did you get the wristband? Did you get the invite? And I'm like, for new people, it's not very welcoming. It's a huge, some of these conferences, I just went to International last year. We actually took our whole family because it was in Disney World. And I am a people person, but that was almost too big for me. That was like too much. There was no way to really, I felt, connect. And I'm all about connecting. And I think that's the biggest thing right now in the industry is that connection. We all are coming to be connected. Yeah, we want to learn some things, but I think we learn more from 6 of us getting around a round table and talking about our problems than being taught classes by a vendor or another PM. And so I just really want the education we're getting to have a takeaway. That's my biggest thing. You should have a takeaway that I can go implement. Because how often do you go to a conference, you write down the notes, then you throw the notebook somewhere, and 6 months later, you're like, what was that I was going to do? So when I speak, I try to have like, here are 3 takeaways. Go home tomorrow and implement these. And I would love to see follow-up, which I know is a bandwidth issue, very hard to do. But I would love if I'm teaching a class that here's the 3 things you're going to do. You're going to email me in a month about what you did, or maybe I'll email you to see if you did it. But I just think that connection and really getting into the deep stuff, not the frilly stuff. And I think that's where all the conferences are. It's all about frill and the little things you can do versus like, I want to make big movements in my business, and having the top 10 best tips to change your marketing may not be. It might be if I'm looking for marketing, but I just think some deeper level conversation is really needed. And I think that's why we all come, is we just want to see each other and go, oh my gosh, we survived. We made it through the busy season. What did you do? How are you doing? Stuff. So.
No, I understand. One of the most productive things I think that we used to do at conferences, and I know we still do, but I don't know how, when the roundtables were really roundtables and they did it based on company size, and they presented problems. We're going to discuss this problem at this table. If you want to discuss it, come sit down with other property managers, because quite frankly, I think property managers know more about property management than people getting up to teach a lot of times. So I thought that was a good exercise to do it at conferences.
It really is. I've been telling some of my vendor buddies, because a lot of times you don't know what a vendor does, or maybe they do something you're not aware of because they're telling you about their newest, shiniest object, but maybe one of their older objects would be what you need. And that is if you put on there, what problem do you solve? Like tired of getting phone calls at night, tired of not having the right linen. Like if I saw that on a booth, that would attract me more than just seeing somebody's name and maybe some product. Because I don't know what you do. I don't have the time to talk to you. But if you said, I solved this problem, I would be like beelining it, like, yes, help me with that.
That's a great idea. They could do that. They could create that as part of the app. Here are the problems that are solved by the products that are there, and you could know where to go. What advice would you give to property managers who want to be in it for the long haul? They're not looking to be a conglomerate and they're not looking to sell out to someone larger. What advice would you give to them for longevity? How are you thinking about that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is what us smaller companies have always had is we have boots in the ground, people in the area. And I think that's so important because all these bigger companies try to come in and do it from afar. And we've seen it doesn't work. And so I really feel like it's having staff here and really owning why you're different. I've said sometimes to owners like, hey, we are smaller. We're not going to have all the big tech. We're not going to have all that. But when something goes wrong, you know where to find me. You will talk to me, not some computer, not some person that doesn't have anything to do with your account. You will speak to us. You can come into my office and go, hey, I want to talk to you about something. So I just feel like owning what we do, we're smaller. We can't do all the big things and be okay with that. There's a reason some people like to go with smaller companies. We're more hands-on. And so I think if you really just share with what your offerings are and why you're different, and that it's okay to be small, you don't have to have all the bells and whistles, because at the end of the day, those tech stacks, sometimes I don't think they're helping.
So I just want to put this out there. In the grand scheme of things, you're actually not small, about 100 properties. And the average size vacation rental company in the US, I think, is about 70 the last time I looked. So small to you. And I understand where you're coming from. It's a mindset. You have a mindset of, I am hands-on. I am the person, my staff. You can talk to someone. We're not a big conglomerate. And I love that. So let me ask you this. The advice that you would give for people who are looking to maintain and grow to about 100 properties, let's just say that's it. How do you keep it at that size and not grow larger? It has to be intentional because you've been there a long time.
Yeah, we found 100 is about the sweet spot. So our goal is to get back up to that 120, because at that point we've seen you lose it. It's really hard as you get bigger to be that small and be that hands-on, especially in our area. Staffing is so hard. It's hard to get people here to work. And so you can't grow if you don't have staff. And I don't want to grow just to grow and be like, sweet, we have 200 homes, but we're not offering what we want to offer. Now, I'm going to be backing up a bit this fall because I am concerned about our industry keeping people. And so my goal this fall is we're going to go backwards a little bit. Like if you're staying at one of our vacation rentals, we will love on you during the day, but at night, unless there's like no heat, no fire, no water, something massive, we're not going to come out and do it. We're going to come the next day. If it's something like the guests can go get a propane tank, we'll reimburse them the next day, give them love on them in the morning with some coffee or something like that. But I just feel like burnout is so high in our industry, and to try to hire people and go, okay, by the way, you're going to be on call all the time and you're going to work all day and then you're going to be on call at night. I just feel that's why a lot of people during COVID left this industry and haven't come back. It's high burnout. It's high demand. And we've created all these monsters in the fact of like, if you're out of toilet paper at 10 o'clock at night, we'll bring it to you. It's like, well, no, our people need to rest. And so I think that will help us. And I'm actually hoping we can grow up to maybe 150 because of the fact that if we're not burning out our staff all the time, they're going to be happier. We'll be able to hire more people in our industry that will stay long term. And that's one of the reasons we haven't grown, is just staying at that level, is because it's a nice level and it's manageable.
I don't think I mentioned now, Stacy is the general manager at Cascara Vacation Rentals. You guys are in Sunriver, Oregon, which is a great tourist spot to play with. So you're looking at making a change where there's not 24/7 access unless emergencies. I mean, there's going to be emergency. I mean, like you said, because you guys have like snow in the winter and it's hot in the summer, right?
Yes. And I think the reason I came up with this as I looked at this summer is I have two owners now that I call it. So we've been doing vacation rentals for 40 years. Back in the day, it was like, here is my second home, take it or leave it. So about half my owners are from that era of take it or leave it. This is my second home. Then I have the other half, which are new vacation rental homeowners, which are, hey, we're going to put all the bells and whistles in our homes. We're renting. This is a business. And so it's really hard when you have these two perspectives of trying to make renters happy. In a newer home, it's a little bit easier. They have newer things. Older home, things are going to be a little older. But back in the day, when vacation rentals first started, the whole point, I feel like, was to get out of hotels. Like, we want to go stay somewhere where we don't see people. And so I'm pulling on that a little bit, going, the whole point of vacation rental is to be by yourself on your own and not have the 24/7 hotel thing. I think part of the thing is that, yeah, we're not a hotel. If you want 24-hour service, that's a hotel. We're a vacation rental. We have more privacy to be in the home with your family, not worried about housekeeping coming by. You're just enjoying it. And if you need something, you realize, hey, I may have to go buy a propane tank, but the company said they reimburse me. The hide-a-bed sheet didn't get left out for some reason. We'll make do tonight. They'll bring some by the next day. So I think that is going to be the key to getting people back into our industry. It's just when I write up these things, I'm like, you have to work all the time, be on call. It's like, I wouldn't do this job. Like, who would want to do the job?
It's a difficult job. There is no question. I've had the phone and been on call myself, so I understand exactly what you're talking about there. So what you're focusing on, it sounds like, is your staff this year and getting a staff and balancing their happiness with guest and owner relations.
Yeah, unfortunately, in the middle of summer, my operations manager had to step down for some serious health issues. So that was I guess I'm running everything this summer along with my other manager. And I just started hitting me that she had to take time off, obviously, for health, but also, like, she couldn't have any stress in her life, which there's no way you could work this job and not have stress.
No, not operations.
Yeah. But I started thinking, all of a sudden now I'm having to manage 80 homes, and that was too much. So we're going to actually go to the property management plan that a lot of the vacation rental companies do, where I'll have one manager manage up to 40 homes with an assistant. So they're going to take care of the 40 homes. They'll take care of the rent. They'll take care of everything having to do with those 40 homes. And then that way I can get 3 of them in, 30 for each, about 100 homes. And that way, if one of them takes time off or has to quit, or we just, for whatever reason, the other 2 can help bridge the gap, versus when you lose an operations manager that's running literally everything. It was like, oh my gosh. Sometimes I always tell my staff, it's good when I get back in the day to day, because I'm going to start looking at stuff and going, why are you doing this? Like, there are several things I'm like, it takes you 6 hours to do billing. We've got to come up with a solution, because I'm not spending 6 hours on this. And so by moving to the property management scale, I can get more people in, hire people that have been in the industry before, that know how to deal with owners and renters. And so I'm excited to get that going this fall and hire out some of those positions, because I do think it's so much more manageable to manage a small portion. And then we're very big here on, doesn't everybody clean the toilet from the top to the bottom? And if an owner calls and it's not your home, you still talk to them, and your job is just to take the notes and share it with the property manager that does manage that home. We don't do the whole, well, this is my house. We don't do any of that. So we have a really good team. It's a small team, and it's just been fun to see how this business grows and how it changes. And so now I'm thinking, all right, let's try this property management thing that I've seen other people do.
Built by property managers for property managers, Streamline is a powerful software that gives managers enterprise-level capabilities to drive more revenue and improve operational efficiency. Migrating to Streamline allows property managers to gain functionality while reducing the need for multiple vendors, improving flow by logging into a single system, and reducing redundant technology costs. With Streamline, property managers achieve revenue lifts by leveraging our fully fledged communication center, reservations quoting system, revenue management tools, homeowner acquisition CRM, and powerful direct OTA connections. Streamline also has industry-leading trust accounting and report capabilities to give you clarity in an overall company performance. Learn more about Streamline Vacation Rental software at streamlinevrs.com.
So what was really rewarding about taking over, literally being out in the field? It sounds like you were out in the field this past
I didn't have to go out
summer.
in the field, thank gosh. I hate going out in the field. No, I do it occasionally because it's always good to see your home. But I think the biggest thing is, 2 years ago, I was in severe burnout in this industry. This would have collapsed me. Things happen in every industry. And since I've gotten past the burnout and realized, okay, that's a problem. I can't be constantly like, oh my gosh, what if I lose this house? Or you can't operate from that. And so I've come down from that, and it was, okay, they are gone. Don't know how long. We're just going to pick back up. Someone's asking to hire. I'm like, no, it's the middle of summer. I'm not going to, by the time I get somebody and train them, it'll be summer's over. I'd rather, like, everybody's chipping in. We're going to do what we can and make it through the summer. And it actually was not as hard as I thought it was. So I think sometimes not freaking out over the big stuff or little stuff. Things happen and we just have to roll with it and not let the world collapse around us.
So are you the only family member left, or is your family working with you?
Yes. This year, I took over the finances from my mother. My dad's been retired for about 20 years. My mom, like a year. I mean, she hasn't worked in the business in a while, but she was like doing cash flow and some of the accounting stuff. So I've got it all now. My husband does all of our marketing. And then my brother has a business outside of the family business, but it's carpet cleaning. So we get some good discounts on those carpet cleanings when we need them. And so that's what's left of the family business. I've had teenagers that have helped over the years. One helped this summer a little bit. So it's been fun. I don't think any of them want to take it over. So we'll see. I have a 7 and 9-year-old and see if they have any interest in a few years or see where it goes from here.
Sounds like you've done a lot of transitioning for homeowners from second home to the vacation rental property. What advice would you give to property managers who are looking at homeowners who are considering transitioning that second home to a vacation rental property?
Yeah, I think the needed necessity in some ways, what I've done is if you want to be a second home, that's fine, but I'm going to still do the rates, all that. But it's the homes that are doing all the things for renters, they're just going to be more popular. And so I feel like my attention might be a little more skewed towards them because I have to work harder. They want these things to rent, where my other ones are like, get rent, whatever. But I do think the biggest pain point I see when you're going from that aspect of just here's what it is it going to cost? There's going to be some costs. Like, those TVs, they all have to be replaced. Carpet, furniture. A lot of these homes are so old that it's like, yes, everything's in good condition, but renters are expecting new things, especially in the technology. You've got to have smart TVs. I think the other thing is wear and tear, having that really solid conversation of what wear and tear is, because when they start upgrading their houses, they're going to have more people in their house. And so I think it's expensive. All this technology we've had to implement in the homes, we're only making a small percentage of our commissions, which I think if you talk to anybody, that's why we all have fees. There's not that commission doesn't cover all the stuff we have. So, and I think that's the thing too, when you have people local that are handling everything, it's going to cost more than the people that are just relying on maybe a smart thermostat and they're 3 hours away and hope that thermostat doesn't fail.
So tell me your favorite property management story, either about a renter or an owner, something that is just inspired you or unforgettable.
Yeah, I think for us, it's all about relationship. Having been in the business 40 years, I think 50% of owners have been with us for over 20 years. And we still have probably about 20.
Okay, hang on just a minute. Guys, I just hope you got that. I mean, Stacy's been talking here, but she's in Sunriver and she's had homeowners, half of them with her, have been there with her the whole time. That is amazing.
Yeah, half have been with the whole time, or about half have been 20 or plus years. And then I'd say probably a good 25% have been with the whole time. It's getting smaller and smaller because, again, homes sell or kids take over and they don't want to do vacation rentals. They'd rather sell the house and do something else. But I think over the years, it's just become relational for us. And we have a sweet renter family that comes in every year. Their daughter has Down syndrome. And so they come to our office every year to check in. And she loves magazines and she wants to learn how to shake hands and be social. And so she gets to practice all those skills with us. And so she's been doing this, I think 8-10 years that they've been staying with us. And so back in the day when no one has offices, it's all keyless, they still come in. We still make sure we have the magazines to give her and have that conversation. And it's just neat. And one year we failed because they stay for like 3 weeks. We failed to put enough supplies in. So they email us or text us and say, hey, we need more toilet paper and more paper towel and a partridge and a pear tree, because they had a few things listed. And so I said, okay, we're going to print a picture of 2 turtles when we take out the item and stick it to it and go, here's 2 turtles. And we went on for like 7 messages. They gave us a Google review, which was huge. It was hilarious, but it was like, well, I can't remember what 3 is, but it went back and forth to that Christmas song, 2 turtle doves, 3, whatever it is, 4
French hens,
all of that back and forth in conversations. And it was such a funny thing that started out as like maybe a little bit of frustration because, hey, we're here for 3 weeks. You didn't really plan on supply us with enough. And so that whole conversation was hilarious. And it turned something into a guest maybe being irritated to them being laughing about it. And then still trying to come up with the next thing every time we emailed each other back. And so to me, this business, and I think why we are in it, there's no other reason to be in this business. It's not like luxury, lap of luxury, making millions upon millions of dollars. It's the communication and getting to know your renters. You see every year our owners, one of our owners has been with the whole time. His son died at 9/11. He was on the very top tower of that firm that lost everybody. His wife passed away, and he has one of those houses. We call it the hot tub time machine because it's one of those houses. Here's my home, take it or leave it. But it is like orange and floral and original cupboards. Like actually just replaced this a few years ago. Orange countertops, yellow carpet. I mean, like everything is original. But his wife put so much work and effort into the decor and the curtains. And so we're like, I'm not going to bug him about updating. This is their home for 40 years. And now his wife has passed. And so he still calls me. I will take his call every time. And usually it's like, I need to book my house. I'm not going to not take his call because that's not my job anymore. Because I love to talk to him. He's like 90 something, traveling to all his rentals. And so it's just a relationship business. And I love it. And that's what we love when we see our return renters come in or owners come in. I've had owners give me and my husband a baby gift when we were pregnant. So it's just that fun relationship that you have with them.
Well, I love this. Is there any other advice that you'd like to give property managers?
But I think my biggest one lately is tech. I have felt lately that, man, tech was supposed to be making our life easier. And now I feel like my staff have 8 different products they have to use. Some talk, some don't. And when we partnered up with Cascara, I got rid of all of it, all of our software, except we went from LiveRes to Streamline because you have that with Cascara. So we got rid of all of it. I got rid of all the other everything. And I'm like, we're going to use Streamline until it doesn't work anymore. So we use their property care app. Is it flashy? Heck no. Is it hard to read sometimes? Yes. And one of my managers does want to go back to Breezeway, but I'm like, it works. It's not flashy. And so until it doesn't work, and we're constantly having problems, because we had Breezeway. They didn't use Breezeway to the fullest extent. Most of us are not using our software to the fullest extent.
That's so true. You are preaching my language right there. I agree.
So my biggest thing is until that software is not working, don't go looking. And it's hard because you go to these conferences, oh, that looks flashy, but it's just one other thing you have to manage. And when you're a smaller company and they all take a portion of your funds, and that's the biggest thing is all this takes money, and really look at what your problems are. Like I'm one for like, I want 100% 5-star reviews. I want 100% every employee does everything right. Well, we're human. That's never going to happen. So I sometimes have got too deep in the weeds of like, oh, we need to make this. So we're going to do this whole thing. In fact, I'm just tearing apart something I created 6 months ago. Like, this is going to solve all our problems. And then I go back to it. I'm like, okay, really? The system we had, 1 or 2 things slipped by. There will always be 1 or 2 things slipping by. So creating all this extra work to then still have 1 to 2 things slip by wasn't worth it. And my staff got annoyed. So it's definitely just really using everything. Sometimes use it how it's not meant to be. I have like 3 different ideas of how I'm going to use my Rubber guidebook as an onboarding program for housekeepers. So all the training guides are in there. I mean, there's so many things you can use in different ways that I just really urge people really need that software. Like think about, okay, we cannot live without it. We're having way too many complaints before you go purchase that. Because then what that's going to cause when you do purchase it is, yes, it'll solve some of your problems, but it'll also create other ones that let's say, okay, great. Now they have to look at that software to answer guest things. So there's a lot of things that we don't think about because we just want the shiny new thing. I've signed up for so many things, and that has been my new thing to preach about. At 40 years, stop. Don't purchase anything until you have to have it.
I love that. And use what you have.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a problem, call your software company and say, this is my problem. What do you have? What creative ways do people use to make it work? And if you still don't have a solution to it, then when you go to the user conference for that software, ask around and find people that are having that same problem. How are they getting around it with their software?
Exactly. I remember software. This is when we were on DOS based. I can't remember. It was Forward to Escape. This is old.
I remember
old
FRS.
software. But we went to a conference one time, me and the accounting manager, and we learned so many things because these softwares are huge. And even more today, it's true. They are huge. You don't have all of the things. In fact, I don't think Streamline turns on everything because it's too complex. I'm actually going to Streamline, even though we get all our training, everything for Costco. I'm going to Streamline's conference next week because I have heard it's one of the best conferences. Journey to Find.
You haven't been?
No.
Oh my gosh. You talk about loving on you and giving gifts. Stacy, I want you to call me afterwards and tell me what you think, because if there's one conference in the industry that I think does it right, their conference is great. My family will be there too. And so if you want to get together and discuss any issues, let me know.
Yeah, because I just think you have to learn from the people that are running it. And so often you don't know all of the things or something you learned back in training and you're like, I don't need that.
Make sure you're signed up for the classes that they offer. Training right there. You can actually go a little early and they have like all kinds of training. So, I mean, they try to make that the time where you really can learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited about it and to see my quest of what the conference needs. The women's conference is really amazing. Darm was pretty good. I only got to see half because I got sick. But just seeing with all the conferences where people should be putting their money, or Steve Schwab and Matt Landau did with the Keystone Retreats, those were amazing. And that's, I think, where I'm at. So maybe it's just the C-level people need more of that, and the conferences should be for managers and below. But it just seems like, I don't know, something's missing and we need a spark. Maybe after Streamline, I can learn.
No, I love those conferences too. I went to the mastermind too. They have a really good idea on helping people to be the best that they can be. So I really appreciate them doing that in the industry. Well, thank you so much for being with me. I really do appreciate it. And I know that you're incredibly successful at what you do. Guys, if you want to reach out to Stacy, how can they do that, Stacy, if they want to reach out to you?
I'm on LinkedIn under Stacy Wesson. And then my email is Stacy, STACY, at Cascara Vacations with an S.com. And I always love collaboration and all that. I'm actually teaching at Streamline. They asked me to speak last minute about burnout. So I'm excited to talk about that at the Streamline conference.
Well, I'm sure it'll be excellent. I'm sure you'll give them takeaways, just like you said, and people will be able to take away. And not only that, but I'll bet you'll follow up. So guys, if you're dealing with burnout, Stacy's got some classes coming up, and I'm sure that would be a good reason to reach out to her. Well, thanks again, Stacy, for being with me. I appreciate it. And guys, we look forward to seeing you next week on How We Grow.
Thanks.
This episode of How We Grow is brought to you by Streamline. To find out more about how Streamline can help grow your vacation rental business, visit streamlinevrs.com. Make sure to search for How We Grow in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team here at Inhabit, thanks for listening.